Okay, y'all, it is day 23. Tom checking in here, 174 pounds. Things are still going good. Just every day is just a little bit more insight than there was from last time. So a big thing that I've kind of uncovered as being a useful method is starting simple with something. Being able to take a tool, a process, a book, a habit, whatever it is, and just boil it down to the smallest version. I think James Clear talks about this in Atomic Habits, but I think what he was intended to do was to take each habit and then stack one tiny habit onto the next. But what I'm suggesting here is that we take our habits and we just boil it down to the smallest version. Say for example, you want to be a lawyer one day. Law school is a very long ways away from applications to getting the right GPA, to getting the right test scores, right recommendation letters. So that's hard to do right away. But what we can boil it down to is can we understand an argument? Can we say, and I don't mean argument in the conflicting manner. I just mean like an argument. It's like if you want to defend your position or if you want to defend someone else, that's a pretty damn good way to go start to be a lawyer, to be a defender, to be an advocate for your fellow man. So getting in the habit of doing that just on a daily basis, finding a way of defending other people or of defending yourself or of representing something well with the English language or just reading, because going to law school implies a lot of reading and reading so much so to a point where, I know many lawyers will go through several books in a week. So that's just one little tidbit. Another one is the power of vulnerability. I'm realizing now that I've not been very vulnerable. This is probably the most vulnerable thing I've ever done. But just coming down to just being someone who is vulnerable, that can open up, and the connection, the unity thing I was talking about yesterday or the day before, I forget. It can't happen without vulnerability. Just being someone who can expose themselves to the elements, that can open their heart up completely and just let whatever happen to it is going to happen to it. Some people don't like that because it hurts. And to that I would say it hurts now, but over time, the old saying goes that you open your heart and you let it get beat until it cracks open completely, something like that. Something about how you keep being a just very loving and very open person as much as you possibly can until you with a capital YOU cracks open and becomes something else. So not just doing things that imply vulnerability, but being a vulnerable person is a new practice I'm taking on. Just letting my personality fall where it is. It's a practice I've been taking on for some time, but I think I hit a new level of it about what vulnerability means. And the last one is I think I'm pretty clear. I think I'm pretty clear what I need to be doing for the rest of my life, and I think that thing is mental performance. Mental performance is something I've been thinking about for a very, very long time. There have been things I've been exceptional at. There have been things I've struggled immensely at, and I've thought about them in depth at both. So much so that I have degrees in cognitive neuroscience and studied every aspect of the human condition, both in the laboratory, in studies, as well as with the thousands, probably more like 800 coaching clients I worked with on boot camps for the past couple of years, and then maybe another 1,000 more on digital platforms. So it just occurred to me when I was in a grocery store. I was listening to a couple of videos, one from Jim Rohn, another one from Jordan Peterson, another one from Dave Rubin. A little excerpt from Gary Keller's The One Thing. Just trying to get into this idea of specialization, since that's the main topic. That's a lecture I'm giving tomorrow with our mentoring group. Is the importance of specializing and what advantages specializing offers, and how to consider specialization as opposed to being a generalist, someone who's very good at a couple of things but not an expert at any one individual thing. So while sitting around, it just hit me like a brick that that's kind of been the context of my life, and that probably is going to be a context of my life going forward. If there's something I'm just going to dig very, 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 very deeply into, that's going to be this concept of mental performance. How to utilize your brain in a way that you can optimize its usage, that you can protect yourself against burnout, that you can go out into the world and say hi to a pretty woman and be able to take her on a date, to be able to go out to a bar or a nightclub, or be able to go out to a networking event and just make new connections, to make new friends there, to be able to sit down and read a 500-page book in 3 hours time, to be able to sit down and look at your work, examine what needs to be done, do it, and then be done with the day and have enough time left over in order to go spend time with your family, with your friends, or to spend the time to go build out a separate project. Because I know that's it's becoming harder and harder to stand out these days in terms of this whole wealth divide that's happening in the world. So it does take someone's full everything to make sure that that happens. Can you hook up your brain to make sure that works out? Can you do exercises, both physical exercises, mental exercises, to be able to optimize the performance of your life? What foods do you need to be eating? What foods do you not need to be eating? I think that there's a lot to be covered here, given personality types, given genomic archetypes, given Jungian archetypes, given someone's upbringing up until the age of 6.5, that critical period where they're still learning the language and learning how the world works, from the psychoanalysis literature to the social psychology literature to the maybe dipping a little bit, not too much, a little bit into the Freudian literature. Dipping into current studies that are coming out from laboratories in psychology, social psychology, and a variety of niche topics. Now that we have different tools, dipping into neuroscience, dipping into neuroeconomics, neurophysiology, neurochemistry, to figure out how certain substances interact with one's brain and just incapacitate all the good work that we're doing. The effects of cognitive behavioral therapy, the effects of exposure therapy. There's a lot of different angles that a lot of people have been studying very intently, and the last thing that needs to be done is someone needs to go put all this together to give a reasonable enough answer to be able to live the life that you really want to live, to feel better, to focus more, and to develop better relationships. So I think that's a life worth living right there. I think that mission, as far as I'm concerned, is accomplished with this 40-day fast of something being revealed to me in this process. And if you ask something sincerely, if you're serious about it, then the answer will reveal itself to you. It doesn't happen in one day, but in this case, it took 23 days. So I have a little bit more clarity on that. Still got 17 days to go, so I'll keep you all posted on what happens, how things are coming, what new gets to be learned, so on and so forth. So that's it for now. This is Tom on day 23.